There's nothing like the feeling when last light in becomes the lost light in, and 26 hours of an honor mode run goes down the drain. This video is going to recap the entirety of Act 1 of honor mode, defeating all the major bosses with one exception, and I'll point out all the tips and tricks I've learned after beating honor mode twice. I'll point out all the major danger points that you need to be aware of so that you don't get wiped, and talk through some of the most important fights. And it all starts with the beginning. Many have said it, and I believe them. You could beat Baldur's Gate 3 honor mode with any party composition. There are many build guides out there. You can get crazy with multi-classes, run themes, whatever you want to do. But I would suggest at least one class with high charisma for two main reasons. Persuasion is king. Persuasion will make the game flow much smoother, getting juicy rewards, better outcomes, even skipping entire boss fights in Act 2. I like using a bard because I love passing checks in general. If I have to roll the dice, then I want to succeed. Bards are very good at this. Throughout this run, I had to use inspiration rolls a handful of times. I also like to be a halfling because when they roll a 1 on the dice, they re-roll it, meaning there's only a 1 in 400 chance of a critical fail. But I'll reiterate, the classes themselves don't really matter. I'll tell you, I did not really optimize during this run at all. I didn't multi-class, I didn't plan specific builds. I just grabbed strong items as I came across them and shoved them on to the most relevant character. But if you do want to use the builds in this video, we'll start with the bard with these stats, and the other 3 will come once we get through the Nautiloid. So let's go. First things first. In Act 1, I recommend a lot of looting. Some items in honor mode cost way more than they do in other difficulty levels, so if your builds are going to require these items, you want to start saving now and not have to scrounge up the gold later. You can free us if you want. I do it, we'll see him later, but you don't have to. Go and grab Lae'zel, enter the first fight, go and hit things. Grab the rune and free Shadowheart, and you can fail this check. It doesn't really matter, since you'll just see her on the beach anyway in a second. But if you do get her, and you've got somebody who can use large swords, make sure you give command to Shadowheart in the actions menu, because you won't be able to do it once you start the battle. In the fight, there's not really any danger, just send somebody to the end. The enemies are really weak, you'll be fine, and use command drop on the boss in here to get his sword. I didn't spot that when I tried to prepare the spell, it didn't actually work. But if you're using some kind of melee build and the spell fails, this is early enough that resetting here is probably worth it. Hit the transponder, wake up, and grab Shadowheart. Have yourself a little looterino, not forgetting this sneaky chest up here, and you can actually skip the fight. Grab Astarion and Gale and come back for them to fight the little creatures in the ship, but it's not too bad. I like to just sneak up here, enter turn-based mode when they're both next to the tank, and fireball. Go and grab Astarion, and don't forget the sneaky chest down here. Do not talk to this mind flayer. You'll have to pass a dice roll, and if you fail, you instantly die, and you might end up wiping the entire run. So just shoot him from afar, don't risk it. Grab Gale, and then go and grab Lae'zel. Try and persuade the tieflings to leave, but if they don't, it's fine. They wouldn't show up again anyway. You can take them out. Now, the way I like to play Baldur's Gate is doing most things as I come across them. A lot of other people might skip areas until they've grabbed a few free levels, and yes, this is safer, but I find it pretty boring, so I go ahead and just start encounters like this one. You should use and abuse the surprise mechanic, at least in the early stages of Act 1. You could argue that the early part of the game is the most dangerous, because we are at our most squishy, and so a couple of bad rolls could end the run. Using surprise to get an entire extra turn for free on all party members is huge. Take them out and convince this guy to open up. He'll be surprised when you go in, so you should be able to take him out pretty quickly. Sneak up on this chick and take her out, Try and do it before she alerts the others. And then heal up and get ready for a bit more of a challenge. Try not to accidentally deck Asterion.
In the hells was that?
Once again, use surprise to launch the attack. I like to initiate combat and then use this door to get some free licks in. Keep the door shut, open it when you want to attack, kill anybody that comes through, and it's a fairly manageable fight. Just don't stand too close to the barrels in case you get exploded. Press the lever at the back and head through to the crypt. I didn't manage to percept the trap, but if you don't know, you can shoot this button to deactivate the traps and loot everything. Open up Wither's room. I spread everybody around. The main danger here would be is if all of the skeletons all attacked the same person to take them out, but they're not really strong enough to take down a character one-on-one, so if you just take them out individually, it'll be fine. Talk to Withers, and don't forget to loot the sarcophagus after you're finished. It's easy to forget after you've had the conversation, and I take this opportunity to long rest and respec the characters that we've collected. To reiterate, you should be able to use whatever composition you want to use. I wanted to go for a composition in this run where they all have access to some spells and try and have everybody able to use electric damage in some way so that I can use the wet mechanic for difficult bosses. To that end, I respec Shadowheart into a Tempest Cleric with these statistics. Gale gets to be an Abjuration Wizard, so we have a little bit of tankiness in the early game, and he's got these stats. And I actually grab Will this time too, and he will have these stats, but we'll get him after the Goblin fight. Don't forget to pickpocket your gold back from Withers, don't worry, he won't get mad. Here, normally, I send my party up onto the cliff to get the high ground, but I made a mistake and forgot I hadn't already done this fight, so I accidentally started from down here. But it's fine, just prioritize the guys with lots of health who tend to do more damage. Enjoy that sweet buff from Zevlor. And I just use Create Water and Electric Chromatic Orb for some extra damage. Loot it all up and head inside. Talk to Zevlor.
Thank you.
Sell all of that loot that you've been collecting. Buy what you need. I like the Rain Dancer to get extra water applications, but whatever floats your boat. You can get missile snaring gloves here if you want. I think I end up getting them, but I don't think they were necessary. They just procced so rarely, so you could save that money if you want. I level up here and I choose Calm Emotions on my bard with one specific use in mind. I choose College of Swords and I choose Dueling to see if I prefer it. I tell myself I'll respec later if I don't like it. And then I get Sleight of Hand plus Persuasion Proficiency. Snazzy. I mess up something that I'll explain in a minute. So while the grove calms down, I cast Aid for the first time, which is another amazing buff that lasts till long rest, and you should use it every time if you have a cleric. And I decide to clear this cave. Once again, use surprise, and try not to use AoE, since you might kill Findal by accident. It's not a big deal if you do. But if he survives, throw a potion on him. Now this is important, make sure you press the 2 blue buttons before you jump on down here. I use Featherfall to make it easy, which is another amazing spell you get early on Bard. Press the other button quickly so the trap doesn't go off, and loot away. There's a chest in the dark. It's trapped. Don't stand everybody too close to it and explode. By the way, we already have a +9 minimum to Sleight of Hand. This is why I love Bard. Come up here and save this girl. Use surprise. Help the kid to gain standing with more. Our persuasion's also looking saucy. Go to the Druid's camp and say you'll save Arabella before heading to Volo. His ring is nice. Go into the camp and try and pass the check to save Arabella. It doesn't really matter if she dies, but she gives a nice buff during the final fight, so try and save her. In this room, unlock this chest to find info about Kaga, talk to Nettie, and steal the specimen. Now we're going to take on the Harpies. You might meet Raphael here. Don't agree to anything.
Hope.
I cast Calm Emotions before speaking to Murkon. This means the harpies won't lure us in. It is so easy to lose honor mode here, so don't do this fight now unless you're sure you can beat it. Without Calm Emotions, I would be very scared. If your party's hidden, you can also get some free hits in after the fight starts, but make sure you enter turn-based mode, or the Calm Emotions will run out and our emotions will not be calm. Use everything at your disposal. The highest power spells you have, water and wet. It's a tough fight, and I actually don't recommend doing it yet, but I like to break the rules. Check way behind the harpy spawn. There's a nice ring up here, and I say nice, it's a nice ring for Gale to absorb for his condition. Talk to Murkon, who will let you know about the entrance to Mol's base. Talk to her, and she'll be happy with you. Tell her you'll steal the idol. Now for a massive early game buff. If you have Talk with Animals, great. If not, you can buy a potion from Volo. This ox has a ring, which is OP, but we can't kill him without making the growth mad, and he won't trade it to us. But if we make him mad, then he will trade it. So cast Mage Hand, or just punch him or shoot him, and then immediately dip into Mol's cave. Now go back up and trade with him, and buy the ring. It gives a 1d4 buff to any check when disguised. Yet another reason I love Bard. Free disguise until long rest every day. And now we say goodbye to the character that I made and say hello to default disguise characters for the rest of the playthrough. Say hello to doing these buffs every long rest. There's a guidance necklace up here if you don't have a cleric. Go tell these guys to kill the owlbear, and make sure you loot the guy after you've spoken. Make a quick trip up to this area just past Scratch, find this skeleton, and we have a smuggler's ring. Even more stats. You can only recruit the owlbear cub if you talk to the owlbear. Also, its legendary action calls in a second owlbear. If you didn't know, bosses in honor mode have extra abilities, which we have to watch out for. This fight isn't too difficult. Hide 3 of your party members, and make sure you separate them, so that they don't all get proned when the owlbears dive. Use potions if necessary, but if you target one owlbear at a time, it should go fairly smoothly, especially if those absolute freaks don't die straight away.
A big man does not fit in a small hole.
If you want to recruit the owlbear cub, don't kill it. Run away from the combat and then come back. Find this prayer sheet, read it in front of the chest and grab some loot.
My prayers are answered.
Long rest if you need to, and head to the blighted village. Head into the hatch behind the bar to get into this area. Pop the boxes one at a time and take them out for free XP, and make sure you read this book in this coffin. You might need to choose something else depending on your class, but get through this mirror and go collect Necromancy of Thay. I don't read it quite yet because I don't want to fail the checks, so I just stash it. Now go and free Barkus Root. You can come in handy during later quest lines. Get some free experience from the Bugbear, a free +1 dagger if you're using those. Cross over the bridge and check out these hyenas. I like to take out the gnolls up at the top first because they sometimes get involved in the lower fight. Do the lower fight as well. Make sure you are looting. Grab the toll collector key on the way to Karlach before visiting the paladins. I like to gank this one girl first, which means it's a 2v4. Anders is still a bit of an animal, but by this point you should have looted plenty of health potions, maybe a couple speed potions, so even if something goes horribly wrong, you'll still be alright. Head to the basement, drop a wine bottle on both chairs, watch out for traps, and there's some nice loot in here.
Trap.
I level up now, and this is where I do what is probably the most important thing in the run. I give alert feats to everybody, meaning I can't be surprised, and I get +5 to initiative rolls. They all mostly have high dex anyway, so in the vast majority of fights, all of my characters will always go first, so I can do any setup I need on the first turn. Next is the Blighted Village Ogres. You could get the Horn and use them to help with the combat somewhere. I like to just take them out to get the headband, which sets intelligence to 17. If you really care about maximizing stats, you could respec now too, set your intelligence to 8, and then reap the benefits. Next up are the Mud Methods. This can be a tough fight. They explode when they're next to you, and the wooden woads are no joke. Make sure you target the creatures that spawn in the babies, because this will despawn the babies. There's got to be some joke there about babies and spawn, but you can figure it out. Make sure you grab these from the wooden crevice to progress the Karga questline. In between these cuts, I'm also long resting when necessary. I'm going to skip a lot of those. When there's conversations in the camp, just make the choices that you want to make, but keep the companions happy that you want to keep. Before the next part, make sure you visit Zevlor in his private abode and tell him that you're going to deal with Karga, otherwise you won't be able to get the reward for that quest line. Now, go deal with Karga. Preferably, persuade her to join your side for an easier fight, but ultimately it doesn't matter if she dies, because she's not relevant to the rest of the game. Once you've dealt with the Shadow Druids, collect a nice pair of gloves from Zevlor. On to the encounter near the top of the map with Flind. You can convince it to fight for you, but typically I just kill it now. I usually begin this fight with a Void Bulb to get some splash damage going.
Don't be a fool, lad. Shut your mouth and keep your head down.
But definitely prioritise Flind, as they're pretty strong. Use the high ground to your advantage.
There's an illithid parasite in that corpse.
Do not loot the Zhentarim chest inside the cave. We want these guys to survive and take it to the Zhentarim leader, so that we can get some nice items from a trader. The illithid powers are insanely good. You should now be able to use them. Pick whichever makes the most sense for your build, but Favourable Beginnings is insane, and Cull the Weak is really nice as well. And now it's up to Floric. The easiest way to complete this place is to just pop a fire elixir. I split up the team because they love to run into the flames. Save Floric and she'll give you a reward. The Spell Sparkler is pretty insane, but choose whatever makes the most sense for your build. Completely loot this place because it's got a ton of food to supply those long rests, especially if you're using magic and are burning through some spell slots. Save this guy if you want to do a tiny quest line. You might want to throw a potion at him if he can't take the door out quickly. The dowry that he wants is in a haystack nearby. Head to the Zhentarim and free this artist if you want to do a quest line later on in Act 3, but it's not essential. Talk to the leader and you'll unlock some juicy items on the trader. The Jolty Vest and the Titan String are both really good, and I think you need to buy them and not loot them from his corpse, because they've got a chance of disappearing if you kill him, which we're going to do now.
Takes a fight.
Loot everything and clear the whole cave. There's no negative consequences. It's free experience and it's loot, and after you've looted the cave, you can dip your toes into the Underdark.
The Underdark.
I usually take this opportunity to clear out the Minotaurs from high ground. Don't send everybody down low because they do hit pretty hard, so take advantage of the terrain when you can. Grab the Falar Aluvi sword. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it, but definitely grab it because it's pretty good. And then head up to the Selûnite outpost and loot everything. Be very careful when traversing the Underdark, because you might trigger the Bulette to spawn in. and if he does, you might want to leave one character in safety. For example here, I wasn't expecting him, and I didn't manage to escape, but he does despawn when you run away. Get to the Myconid colony to grab the fast travel and access to the traders here. Buy anything you need that they have, and now we're going to head to the Goblin camp. You can also visit here earlier if there's any specific items you need to buy, but at this point, having beat a large part of the map already, we are strong enough to just wipe this place. Before we do that, chase the owlbear if you want to recruit it. Go ahead and speak to Priestess Gut. I get branded and tell her to go into her private quarters. And I also brand all of the other characters in the party by talking to this guy in case I want to slap any absolute gear onto any of the party members. Save the guy being tortured, and then be tortured for a permanent buff. Save Volo from his imprisonment to get access to him as a trader in camp. And make sure you trade with Roa Moonglow before things kick off, because she will run away. And now take care of Priestess Gut. Make sure the door is shut. Ideally, you'll take her out in one turn. I miss, and then miss again, so I have a bit of a mare. And anger the entire camp early, but we're strong enough by now that this isn't a problem. Instead of finishing the combat now, I dip into the back room, which was my intention anyway, to take out this big fella and do some looting. And then it's draw Ragslin time. Once again, I like to use a Void Bulb here to get some splash damage going. Use the terrain to your advantage, like these beams up the ladder. And because of the surprise round, he doesn't even get to have a turn before he's wiped out. My next level up happens here. It's a nice big spike in power, because now I can cast Twinned Haste with Will, and Glyphs with everybody else. Onto Minthara, who can cripple a quarter of your team. But at level 5 or even level 4, you can essentially just walk up to her and take her out, no problem. Go into the prison and wipe out all of those guys. We're pretty strong now. We're mostly past the danger of Act 1 honor mode, mostly. Clean up and loot the inside of the Goblin camp, and then go outside and clear that as well. And when you're done, head back and collect the reward from the Druids. You take the rune from Wrath, head into a little hidden vault in the back. At this point, you can steal the idol. Spawn a mage hand in and have the mage hand move the idol across the map. Collect it when it's safe. Fast travel out of there. You should give it to Maul because she gives a really good ring as a reward. And then when you enter the day, you're going to go back to the camp where they'll have a party because you killed the goblin leaders. At the party you'll find Maul here, and you can steal the idol back for permanent buffs, but make sure that your sleight of hand is really good, because if you fail this, you'll anger the entire camp and probably fail honor mode. Now back to the Myconid colony, where we're going to help this person to get some boots. Head over to this area to save this doofus. I like to throw water at the torch, so it won't blow everything up. And then throw his bag back at him with a mage hand. There's a ring up on this ledge, which has some nice stats on it, if you haven't filled out all the ring slots yet. Grab the Noble Stalk before everything explodes, although it's not a huge deal if you mess up, and it does. Head over this direction to take down the Hook Claws. Do it one by one if you can, although they're not too bad. Like I said, we're quite strong at this level here, and you should be able to take everything down pretty quick. Grab the Susa bark from this tree, and also take down this guy as well for the ice weapon part. I like to go for the Bulette here. Again, spread your people out. He does splash damage when he dives, and we can also run away if you don't kill him quickly enough. You want to try and do all of your damage in one turn, because he can run away if you don't do enough damage in a handful of turns. You can always try him again later if he doesn't go down, but just be wary that he can run away, so you want to try and take him down quick.
But someone's sneaking up on us.
go to the docks and take out the Dwerger. They might be invisible, but they'll show up when you get near and you can attack them. You can attack them from the dialogue, and I believe you even still get a surprise round if you do this. Head over to the tower and take down the first arcane turret with electric damage. Then send somebody down the side of the tower and jump all the way to the bottom. Grab one of the Susa blooms and take it inside. Click on the power generator and put in the Susa bloom, which disables all of the arcane turrets, so you don't have to take them all down with electric damage. At the bottom of the tower, using the overhead camera, use Misty Step or any method of your choosing to jump down the side of this staircase. Pull the lever to unlock the basement of the tower, where you'll find some very good loot, including some alchemical ingredients, which we'll need shortly. Loot the entire tower. The lift now works. Make sure you check out this chest, which has mundane objects, which turn into loot when you take them out. And also make sure that you read all of the books in the tower, because they'll give you the option to not fight Bernard at the top. You just have to tell him, "Or art thou, friend, a rescue from my lonely wake?" You can fight him if you wish, it's not too difficult, but I don't do it in this playthrough. But do collect this secret weapon, the Club of Giant Hill Strength. I immediately slap it onto my bard and never take it off for the rest of the playthrough. That glorious inventory space. Next up is the Spectator. This is a danger fight. This guy can paralyze, and his legendary action lets him fire off random rays, which are very dangerous. You should be feeling pretty strong by now, but try and stay 20 meters away from this guy so you don't get paralyzed and ganked. Keep your teammates separated, maybe leave one further back, because you don't want to get team wiped by one successful legendary action, which paralyzes your entire team.
I offer to pop now.
Kill Dawn for another piece of the ice weapon. And then make sure you long rest now. We're going to be picking up a buff which lasts until the day ends, and we want to maximize the amount of time with it, so we want to make sure our spell slots are refreshed. So long rest and go talk to the Myconids. In particular, talk to Blurg. We have the ingredients to give to his friend Omelum, which lets us complete that quest line. This unlocks Omelum's shop, which has very juicy items. Hand in the Bone Cloak quest if you haven't already, and then pick up the Myconid reward for the last piece of the ice weapon. I also take Glut down to the beach and kill him too, that treasonous pile of goop. And after that, I take the Susa bark to the Blighted Village Forge and craft one of those weapons. It's moments like this that feel a little Game of Thronesy, with the Valyrian steel aspect kind of thingamajigs. And also put together the 3 ice pieces that we've collected for a nice weapon. We're essentially done with the Underdark now, and it's time for the Grymforge. It's quite important that you pass the boat check, because otherwise you will fight on the boats and they will try and push you off for instant death. Because I chose a halfling, and because of the equipment I'm wearing, my roll floor is above the 10 that I need, which means I only have a 1 in 400 chance of ever failing this, and I've got inspirations for backup. And this is precisely why I love this combination of race and class. I start this place by taking out the mimic chests from above. It takes a bit longer, especially because I'm trying to save spell slots for the neophyte, and to preserve the d6 buff to all stat rolls from the Myconids, so it's safest to do it from up here. After you've defeated them, find the toy chest to reveal the real chest and disarm it. Go back to the docks and talk to these guys to snag a nice item from these corpses. Then loot everything on the way to this guy.
That rubble needs clearing. Now get to the caning, for I thrash you instead.
Convince the horses to help you. And then head on through and disable the trap above, however you want to do it. There are 6 molds in the Grymforge. You can only make 2 items in the Grymforge though. Here's the longsword mold, and here's the scimitar mold. Head through this door at the top, grab the key from the skeleton, and take down these idiots. Why is this jelly sentient? Remove it. Convince this Dwegar to give you the rune powder bomb.
Shut your mouth, Hoon, or I'll shut you down.
Now, I think my game bugged because this guy is supposed to offer help to rebel against Nere, and you really want to do this. The upcoming fight is a big danger to the run, so you really want to convince him to help you. I'm going to show you what happens when you don't convince him to help you, because he never gave me the option. He wouldn't even speak to me. But first off, you don't need to use that rune powder bomb if you want to save it for some other encounter. You can use smoke powder bombs instead. Throw them and blow them up to clear the rubble. And now this is where my honor mode run went a little bit off the rails. Now that has never happened to me before. I really should have had my characters in better positions approaching the Nere fight, but now I'm fighting the entire base without really being set up at all. This is bad. Thank you, Baldur. So, ideally, you'll have a bunch of allies in this fight. I, on the other hand, have to get to work. I try and take the high ground with a couple of characters, but in hindsight, you should not do this. And you're going to see why. Also, shout out to Barkus Root for standing in AoE damage, but because he's technically not part of the fight, he keeps on taking damage and he just dies. A rip. It's safe to say, things are not going well. If you end up in a situation like this, make sure that you've got invisibility potions to spare so that you can pop one and run away.
Return.
You can always revive the crew back up with us.
Well,
This fight will go much better for you, especially if you recruit the guy to help you. How you should approach the fight is more like this, from the back.
There's an illithid parasite in that corpse.
No, I'm grateful.
Once you've beaten Nere, take his head back to the Myconids to finish the quest line. I like to clear up the rest of the Grymforge now, but not Grym himself. Here's the heavy armor mold. Take down these bozos. They're fairly squishy. And here is the medium armor mold. Collect the mithril from this vein. And then take out the mephits. Just don't stand too close because they've got splash damage on death. But once you've beaten them, you can grab the other piece of mithril that exists in the game. I tried to take on the lava elemental here. I didn't have enough high level spells left, so I just ended up retreating for now. He is doable at this point, but you need to do all of your high damage in one turn, because he regenerates health. But now, it's time for the crèche. I like to give the owlbear egg to the lady for some extra coin, and because I don't like how a future quest goes if you give her a Githyanki egg. Come up to the crossroads and take out the dead. Prioritize the death shepherds, because they will just keep reviving everything, even each other. And definitely watch out for the ghoul, because he can paralyze you and cripple your team. Use terrain and spells to your advantage to keep him away. I keep going round at this point to get the Gale Elminster encounter out of the way, and then I head towards the crèche. But be careful, there are traps on this cliff that can blow your entire team into a chasm. Send one person ahead to disable the traps, or just get to the fast travel and skip this section. We're very strong at this point for the outer crèche. Just clear all of the rooms, kill the kobolds, go upstairs and kill the Grimishkas. Use magic if you want, they won't bite. In the weapon room at the top, there's a secret chest if you head behind and go up the vines. Take down the Guardian of Faith. Take down the Giant Eagles. Finish putting the ceremonial weapons onto here and collect the Dawnmaster's crest. And now head into the crèche proper. I like to convince this guy to let me take the Githyanki egg, but I never end up doing anything with it, so you could skip this if you don't really care. And then I like to trade with this person now, because they have insane items, and again, if you kill them, you might not get access to all of them. And then go and talk to this boss, who's going to send you down to meet the queen. Agree with the queen to go into the artifact, but be careful, because if you pick the wrong option here, the queen will instantly kill you with no way out. Go and talk to the dream visitor for a bit, and then get ready for a fight. Because we've done the game in this order, we are over leveled, but this fight can still be quite challenging. He's going to spawn swords around whoever hits him first, so be wary of that. And he even cancels my twinned haste, wasting a turn on 2 of my characters, so definitely prioritize him.
I'm glad you came to.
Then clean up the rest of them. After looting everything, you want to turn the statues. If this one gets stuck, throw a bottle of grease at the bottom, but put them into this configuration. I send the character who can disarm traps through only, because you can team wipe here to the traps if you're not careful. But get to the end, insert the Dawnmaster's crest, which will give you the blood of Lathander, and then you can make your way back. On the way out, there's a mini ambush, but at this point, we're not in too much trouble. Head to the fast travel and bounce. Long rest if you need to, and then head down to this secret door. These guys can be pretty nasty if you approach from the doorway, but when you get a surprise attack in, it's essentially a free fight. From here you can sneak back to the entrance of the crèche and do the same. For the school, I like to sneak in and draw aggro so they all run towards the door, and then get big splash damage. This is where I hit level 7, so we're hitting ridiculous strength for Act 1. Once again, lure these guys in so you can hit the splash damage, loot it up, and then hit this machine for a permanent buff to the tadpole abilities, if you can pass the checks. If you're using Bard, you probably can. And that's the crèche.
From an overgrowth of moss.
And the rest of Act 1 is just a few bosses that I've been saving until the end. Head to this well, where we're going to go meet a spider. Clear the enemies at the top. We're over leveled, so you should have no problem with this. But the spider can be quite nasty. Its legendary action will put one of your characters into a tomb if you attack her spiderlings. So we remove the spiderlings before we start. Sneak up and throw some fire onto the eggs. And then these eggs. And the last eggs. I don't really know what Shadowheart was doing here. But once you got the eggs, attack away. Your favourite method of doing lots of damage. And once you've beat the spider, grab the Dark Amethyst and stick it into the Necromancy of Thay. Read all of the pages for another permanent buff.
The book wants you to turn the page to delve deeper.
And then we're going to go take on the hag. I don't even bother killing the red caps, I just send everybody through the fireplace and down to the lair. Walk through the mirror, kill the zealots, jump through the waterfall to this area. You can disable the traps, or do what I do, and cast Featherfall and Enhanced Leap on everybody to jump all the way down to the bottom without too much danger. You can use Sneak here so only one person initiates combat, and then set other people where you want them. The trick here is we want to get Ethel low, quick, but she spawns the clones in. The gimmick is kind of, you're not supposed to know which one is the real hag, and this might be slightly cheesy. The trick to knowing which one is the real one is hovering your mouse above the portrait at the top, and it'll highlight the real one. Try and get her low, but don't kill her if you want the hag's hair, and you want to tell her that you want Mayrina. and the reward if you want to do Mayrina's quest later.
Bollocks, bye-bye.
You bastard! You ruined it!
Grab this wand, go outside, and resurrect Connor, and send him off with Mayrina.
He might be. Thank.
And we're finally on to the last boss of Act 1, Grym. Arguably the hardest. Make whichever of the Grymforge items you want, but my advice is to leave 3 of your members up at the top. Literally just get a load of bucks or something and throw them at Grym for massive bludgeoning damage, using the gravity from being at such a height. You can chip away from up here and you're mostly safe. You might have to deal with a couple of methods, but they're no problem. If you want to get a little riskier and do it a little faster, you can send more people down. You can heal the people down below from the top, and you just need to hit him with the hammer 3 times. He does have to touch the lava in between the hammers. Smash that like button and the lever whenever he's in the middle. Sacrifice yourself if you must. As long as you've got somebody at the top, you are safe, and the hammer does so much damage. Or just throw the stuff at him. Once you've beaten him, don't forget to collect your forged item and craft the second one as well by repeating the process. And that is Act 1. If you have been looting everything as you go, you are now very well prepared as we go into Act 2. Personally, I had that one near-death experience, but if your game doesn't bug like mine did, and the guy in the Grymforge actually talks to you, yours should go much better. I hope you enjoyed this guide and recap of Act 1. Like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for Act 2 coming soon.
What in the hells was that?